Exposed, 7 spine-chilling tales of haunted schools and sinister secrets revealed. The clock struck 10 in Willow Creek High, but with a million papers sprawled across her desk, Jenna Thompson felt the weight of the night closing around her. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, and an unsettling quiet wrapped the hallways. Outside, leaves rustled like whispers, their dark rustling stretching eerily into the corners of her mind. But it was more than just the autumn air that sent shivers down her spine. A whisper, faint but distinct, echoed through the empty corridors. "Help, us!" Jenna's heart raced as shadows flickered under the unstable lights. Her hands trembled slightly as she clicked her pen, the sound sharp against the chilling backdrop. The familiar laughter from earlier that day seemed long gone, replaced by something sinister lurking just beyond her line of sight. With every step down the deserted halls, the ambience of supposed safety morphed, revealing a spine-chilling undertone. She paused at a trophy case that reflected her own worried expression, knowing that Willow Creek had always been a sanctuary. But tonight, it felt more like a mausoleum. On impulse, Jenna turned to the staff lounge, where she discovered a dusty box of old newspapers tucked behind a table. The front page of one overdue article caught her eye: 2 students had vanished in the 90s. An innocuous smile faded from Jenna's face as every fiber of her being began to scream. Suddenly, a memory flashed vividly in her mind: her neighbors' hushed tones, solemn nods every time the past was brought up. "It's just urban legend," they de-winked. But now, terror prickled her skin. She could picture their faces, always so welcoming. Yet now, they felt like masks hiding a heart-sickening truth. "Mom, you have to listen." Tyler's pale face loomed in her thoughts. He had insisted on telling her about his chilling visions. Jenna's breath caught. She had brushed it off as teenage imagination, but the desperation in his eyes had reminded her of something darker, something she wasn't ready to confront. "Mom, I see them," he said, trembling. "Their faces screaming, trapped, they need help." Her heart dropped. Could this be tied back to the very community she loved? What had she been blind to? As he spoke, Jenna felt ice creeping back into her veins. The suburban quiet was now underscored by screams unheard, haunting every corner of this town. "Before we continue, I need to tell you something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to their system and many people are missing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, click the bell and select all notifications so you don't miss future videos. And if you can leave a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." The walls themselves seemed to breathe, pulling her closer to its terrible secrets, each creaking floorboard a reminder that this school was built on something festering. Jenna prowled deeper through the winding corridors, the darkness growing heavier. Every shadow whispered familiar names, and Jenna's breath quickened as the anxiety unfurled into something primal. Something waited as the echoes swelled, a sinister malevolence that whispered back through time. As Jenna leaned in for one last glimpse of the old trophies, a figure darted from the corner of her eye. She spun nothing. Was it the fatigue, or was the school really alive, refusing to let her leave? In that moment, a bone-chilling realization sank in: what if those who she deemed as protectors hid the darkest of secrets? As Tyler's screams echoed through her thoughts, Jenna braced herself. She had to confront the truth before it snatched her son into the abyss like those lost souls. Whether the hunter lurked within the hallways of Willow Creek or within her very own neighborhood, she was running out of time. The shadows thickened, and in the corner of her gaze, something flickered: a dark figure stalking her, intent on reclaiming its past. Was she next? The air was filled with warnings, the walls vibrating with a truth long buried. Just how far was she willing to go to uncover the truth that might cost them everything? The air grew heavier as Jenna continued down the hallway, each step echoing in the stillness. Goosebumps pricked her skin, and her pulse thudded like an ominous drum. The once familiar environment twisted into an unfamiliar wasteland, shadows weaving around her ankles like animated fingers, desperate to pull her into the dark. "Help us!" the whisper lingered in her ears, growing louder and more insistent. Jenna shook her head, wiping frantic sweat from her brow. But then the sound shifted, distorting into a soft click like a door creaking open. Confusion and dread collided within her, compelling her feet to inch closer to the source, the janitor's closet. She could barely recall it being opened before, but now the door was ajar, revealing a thin sliver of darkness. The thought of what lay inside sent her heart racing. It felt like a secret waiting to spill out, a wicked truth hidden behind the peeling paint and dust. "Tyler," she whispered, recalling his fearful eyes. Was this the answer to his visions? Fear wormed into her resolve, threatening to freeze her feet to the ground. But she had to know. With a deep breath, she pushed the door wider and stepped into the closet, instantly engulfed by a cold, musty air that clawed at her throat. The darkness enveloped her as she fumbled for the light switch, fingers trembling. When the flickering bulb sputtered to life, the sight made her stomach churn. Stacked bins and old cleaning supplies took over the tiny space, but it was what lay on the floor that horrified her. A collection of faded photographs, scattered like forgotten memories. A group of students, all laughing, all alive, their cheerful faces stark against the grim reality of this place. But as she picked one up, a chill swept through her. The words scrawled in red ink on the back made her blood run cold: "Help us before it's too late." The air felt electric, as if the photographs were alive, their trapped souls yearning to burst free. She scanned the room. Chances were that whatever it was, it had to be here. A sudden rattling sound echoed from the far corner of the closet, breaking the silence. Something small and round rolled toward her, catching her eyes. With hesitant steps, she approached, bending to pick it up. It was a compass, its needle spinning wildly as if it was searching for something. Jenna's heart raced even faster, her instincts screamed to turn away. Yet another whisper rose from the depths of her inner thoughts. "Find us. Who are you?" She gasped, adrenaline coursing through her veins. The dark corners of the janitor's closet seemed to thicken, wrapping around her like an unseen serpent. She turned, utterly consumed by dread and curiosity. Suddenly, the air felt electrified, alive with presence and echoing despair. She pressed quivering hands to her chest, trying to calm the fluttering panic that threatened to erupt. A cold breeze swept past her, sending the photographs spiraling into the shadows. Goosebumps prickled her arms as the whisper transformed into a cacophony of voices, rising in tortured harmony. "Save us, save us, save us!" It was like a spell, a chant that seeped into her mind, urging her to listen, to act. Panic twisted her insides. A thought emerged almost against her. Well, what if this was linked to the vanished students? The very souls from the legends she thought were mere stories, now all too real. Jenna re-entered the hallway. Locked doors suddenly felt like tombs, each guarding a wretched story. Could the school hold the key to Tyler's nightmares? The sense of urgency racing through her fueled determination. She had to find the truth. As she turned the corner, something darted just out of view. Just a flicker, a shadow, then gone. "Wait!" she shouted, her voice snapping through the silence. She dashed forward, heart hammering, desperate to uncover the source. Her mind raced. Could it be one of the lost ones, reaching for her? But as she followed the fleeting shadow, a new terror gripped her. The lights began to flicker, warning her of an unseen force that might be watching. Would she lose herself in the wilderness of secrets? Every instinct screamed to turn back. But Jenna knew she was already too far in, and the only way out was through the darkness. As she prepared to plunge deeper into the chaos, a chilling thought lingered. What if revealing the truth could mean exposing herself to unimaginable horrors? Jenna pressed on, the shadows wrapping tighter around her as if sucking her into a labyrinth of despair. She followed the flickering light ahead, each pulse of illumination revealing brief glimpses of the long-standing decay. Cracked lockers, peeling paint, and stained floors. It felt as though the school was exhaling, the walls moaning with anguish. "Help us!" the voice floated back, curling around her thoughts, growing louder with each step. Heart pounding, she fought against the creeping paralysis clawing at her mind. "Who are you?" she shouted, desperation creaking in her voice. The only answer was the wind-hissed whispers that drowned her question. Her gaze darted to a classroom door slightly ajar. She felt a magnetic pull towards it, tugging at her soul, urging her to look inside. With a racing heart, Jenna pushed the door open, the rusting hinges groaning in protest. The room lay in dim twilight. Rows of empty desks faced a blackboard smeared over with fragments of ghostly chalk marks. She stepped in, instinctively gravitating towards the front, drawn as if by an unseen hand. A rustling noise behind her made her turn sharply. The hairs on her neck stood straight, blood rushing to her ears. "Who's there?" The courageous bravado felt like a mask, shivering just beneath the surface. No reply, trembling, her eyes scanned the room. And that's when she saw it. A figure stood at the window, back turned to her, faintly illuminated by the moonlight. Clad in a faded school uniform, long hair cascading over the shoulders like a veil pulled over a ghostly face. "Help us!" It echoed, not through spoken words but straight into her mind. The heavy fog of terror that swam through Jenna's veins solidified into a chilling clarity. It felt like she was wading through the memories of lost students, the weight of their anguish pressing down. The figure turned slowly, and Jenna's breath caught. The face was twisted, eyes accusingly hollow yet brimming with unspoken sorrows. "Jenna," it murmured, and as it stepped forward, the temperature in the room plummeted, frost creeping along the window panes. "Leave!" Jenna shouted, her voice trembling but resolute. "You can't keep me here. Let them go." The entity recoiled, its expression shifting from sorrow to something darker, more menacing. "You must pay." In that moment, the lights flickered violently, casting stark shadows that elongated and danced grotesquely. The once familiar classroom dissolved into a shifting vortex of memories, disjointed laughter, screams echoing through hallways, frantic whispers breathing life into the fragments of a past Jenna couldn't comprehend. The walls of the room morphed, revealing grotesque scenes from the school's darker history, students dragged away, and desperate pleas filling the air with a palpable horror that twisted around Jenna, squeezing her heart. "Stop!" She staggered back, her eyes darting around desperately for an exit. But it felt like the walls were constricting, trapping her in this hellish loop. As reality snapped back, the figure lunged forward, cold fingers touching her arm, sending electric shockwaves through her. The pain was piercing, not just physical, but a thrust deep into her soul, a reminder of every horror the school had harbored within its walls. Find the truth before it's too late. With a sudden burst of energy, Jenna ripped herself away from the ghostly grip. She dashed towards the door, but as she reached for it, the room exploded in an agonizing crescendo of wails, clamoring for release, dragging her back, crying for help turned to yelling for survival. Struggling against the darkness engulfing her, she thought of Tyler, of the lives stolen from this place. She had to save them, had to know what sins this school harbored. "Where do I go?" she cried out, fear and confusion thrumming in her chest. But as the whispers reached a fever pitch, Jenna realized that the answer was just outside the room. The exit was drawing nearer. With one final surge of will, she raced through the doorway, heart pounding, desperate to find the truth that lay concealed in the shadows beyond. As she dashed into the hallway, the corridor stretched endlessly before her. But what she didn't know was that she was not alone. The shadows were following her. "Find us, Jenna," they whispered, the chorus echoing as the figure disappeared into the dark of the classroom. What had she awakened? As she sprinted forward, dread gripped her anew. What if the truth was worse than she ever imagined? Jenna ran, her feet pounding against the cold, hard floor. The whispers intensified behind her, swirling like a thick fog, weaving in and out of her consciousness. "Find us," the chorus of voices echoed. With each step, fear pulsed through her limbs like a frantic drumbeat, urging her to go faster, to escape the clutches of the darkness that tailed her. The hallway branched into multiple paths, an endless maze of despair. Desperate for direction, she forcefully grabbed the nearest door handle and flung it open. It creaked on its hinges, revealing a dimly lit storage room filled with abandoned textbooks and broken furniture. Dust danced in the air, caught in the shards of moonlight peeking through a grimy window. "Please, let this be safe," she murmured to herself, stepping inside. The door slammed shut behind her, leaving her breathless, gasping. The storage room felt claustrophobic, the walls closing in as she stared at the piled debris surrounding her. She leaned against the wall, trying to catch her breath, but the slow thud of her heart felt overwhelmingly loud in the silence. Suddenly, a sound interrupted her thoughts, a low scraping noise coming from the corner of the room. Jenna's blood ran cold as she turned to look. From the shadows emerged a massive figure cloaked in darkness, shifting and coiling like a serpent. With bated breath, she backed away, eyes wide. "Help us," it rasped, its voice like nails on a chalkboard, a twisted, sorrowful rendition of the call she had heard before. The entity stepped closer, revealing hollow eyes that absorbed the darkness around it. Jenna knew she had to act. "What do you want from me?" she shouted, her voice trembling, clenching the edges of a nearby shelf for support. Find the truth, it hissed, as the light flickered again, making its eyes flash briefly, as if alive. Find the truth, the voice echoed with every thump of her heart, filling the room until it felt like it could burst. Fueled by a surge of indignation and terror, Jenna took a step forward. "I am not scared of you," she shouted, trying to channel any bravery she could muster. "Stop haunting me." But the entity's face twisted in agony, morphing from a tortured expression into something sinister. The air became heavy, thick with despair. "You cannot escape. We are all around." Suddenly, memories flooded her mind like a rushing river. Faces of lost students appeared in flashes, smiling, laughing, then warped by fear and sorrow. Each visage connected to a story, a plea that broke her heart anew. The room began to spin, the shadows creeping closer as they enveloped her mind in a frenzy. "No!" she shouted, fighting against the wave of emotions, trying to break free. With a roar, she lunged for the only exit, the door she had entered, and threw it open. The hallway gaped before her, a tunnel of darkness lit only by the dancing shadows. Terror gnawed at her insides like a relentless beast. She had to keep moving, had to discover the truth that would set them free. But the whispering shadows lurked, relentless and hungry. "Find us," they pleaded, all the lost souls meshing into one dread-filled symphony of terror. Jenna dashed into the hallway, feeling every shadow pulse behind her, an ominous reminder of what had been unleashed. As the corridor lengthened, a faint glow flickered at the end. Hope ignited within her. But as she sprinted toward the light, she sensed something shifting in the dark, an impending doom rising like smoke, heavy and suffocating. Her heart sank. Was she running towards salvation or deeper into the nightmare? A chilling realization washed over her: she was a beacon for whatever malevolent force now roamed the halls. "Find us," they echoed again, a hypnotizing lull that promised truth but echoed with distrust. Just as the light broadened, she wondered what would she have to sacrifice to set them free. As Jenna stepped closer to the light, the air crackled around her. A surge of energy pulsed through her, electrifying the air in a way that felt both inviting and deadly. The shadows around her swelled, flickering and swirling, as if caught in a dark tornado. Jenna felt them tugging at her soul, their whispers now a seductive murmur. "Join us, find us." The light at the end of the corridor beckoned like a ghostly hand, yet the darkness thickened around her, an ever-looming threat. Jenna hesitated, battling with the pull of both light and shadow. What was waiting for her in that light? Her thoughts spiraled into chaos, fear battling with a flicker of determination. Suddenly, a cold sensation wrapped around her wrist, icy fingers clenching tightly. She gasped and spun, heart racing, to see a shadowy silhouette leering from the dark, the same hollow-eyed figure from the storage room. Its mouth twisted into a ghastly grin, revealing a void where teeth should be. The betrayal of hope weighed heavily on her chest. "Join us," it intoned, its voice slithering through the air like smoke. "You were chosen." Jenna yanked her arm free, retreating a step, adrenaline surging through her veins. "I don't want to be part of this," she screamed, her breaths escaping in ragged gasps. "I just want to help you." The figure reared back, and the air grew colder. "Help?" it hissed. "You do not know what that means. You cannot escape the truth." As it lunged at her, Jenna stumbled back into the hall, panic forcing her to bolt. She sprinted toward the light, feeling the darkness claw at her heels. The whispers morphed into a chorus of cries, each one sharper and clearer than the last. "You cannot hide from us," they screeched, haunting her with despair with every footfall. The corridor twisted like a serpent, the wooden floors creaking beneath her as if the building itself were alive and eager to swallow her whole. Just as she reached the glow, it flickered violently, casting eerie shadows that danced across the walls. "Jenna!" A familiar voice pierced through the chaos, a voice she recognized. "Help us!" She stopped dead in her tracks. Emma? It was her best friend, lost for years in the echoes of this hellish place. Jenna's heart raced, conflicting emotions tearing through her. She knew Emma's fate had she, too, been trapped within these walls, woven into the fabric of despair that clung to the building? "Jenna, please." The sound of her friend echoed, a desperate cry that pierced the air and shattered Jenna's resolve. "You can save us. You have to." But as she advanced toward that pleading voice, the shadows tightened their grip. The creature from before appeared again, blocking her path. "Do not listen. It is a trap." Jenna hesitated. The shadows surged, swirling around her, their whispers of ferocious wind. The clamor intensified, drowning out her thoughts. The light flickered, and she could feel the grasp of darkness threatening to consume her. "What do I do?" she whispered, looking between the light and the encroaching shadows. A choice loomed. She stepped back, temporarily escaping the chaos, but the taste of fear lingered on her tongue like ashes. She couldn't risk it. Not again. "Jenna!" Emma's voice echoed again, sharper this time. "Trust me." With every fragment of her heart, Jenna felt the pull to step toward the light, away from the lurking darkness. But in that moment, she felt a horror unraveling inside her, the looming shadow of doubt. What if I'm choosing wrong? And deep in the recesses of her mind, a chilling thought crept in: if the truth could set them free, at what cost would it come? As she weighed the choice, the shadows hissed and churned, seeming to anticipate her decision. What if Emma's plea was just as deceptive as their own whispers? Feeling the grip of despair tightening like a noose around her, Jenna took one last breath and plunged forward into the uncertainty. But as she did, the floor gave way beneath her, plunging her into darkness that reached beyond what she knew. Was it the end, or just the beginning of something far more terrifying? The abyss welcomed her with a chilling embrace, swallowing Jenna whole as she fell deeper into the void. The air was thick and stale, flickering shadows carving out shapes that stretched and contorted into grotesque forms. She screamed, but the sound was swallowed up by the expanse. Suddenly, she landed hard on a cold, damp surface. Disoriented, Jenna lifted her head, scanning her surroundings. The light above her was gone, replaced by an oppressive darkness that felt alive, pulsating as if it breathed. The air crackled with energy, making her skin prickle. Then came the voices. Low at first, like a breeze rustling through dead leaves, they grew louder, wrapping around her like a fog. "You shouldn't have come here," they murmured, a twisted chorus of lost souls. "You're part of us now. Get away from me!" Jenna shouted, scrambling to her feet, but the shadows surged forward, closing in with suffocating pressure. Her heart raced, each beat a drum echoing her terror. The ground seemed to shift beneath her, pulling her down as much as it pushed her forward. Thoughts flooded her mind, racing through the agony of her past, regrets gnawing at the edges of her sanity. Had she made a grave mistake? Could Emma truly be trapped here, or was this all a sinister lie? Ahead, something shimmered. A weak glimmer of blue light flickered in the distance, fragile yet inviting. Jenna hesitated, her instincts screaming at her to stay away, but the allure of that light was intoxicating. A guiding star in a sea of darkness. Determined, she stepped toward it. But as she moved, the shadows laughed. "Foolish girl! You think you can escape?" Suddenly, figures materialized from the darkness, pale faces and sunken eyes, remnants of lives lost long ago. They reached for her, their fingertips cold as death itself. "Join us!" they howled, their voices rising like a storm, swirling around her as if to drag her into their grasp. Jenna stumbled backward, but the shimmer flickered again, a beacon that teased with hope. "Emma?" she called, catching glimpses of familiar figures. She could still feel her friend's essence, a tether pulling her toward the light. "Where are you?" "Here. I'm here." The voice was distant yet clear, cutting through the cacophony. Jenna's heart soared for a fleeting moment, but just as quickly, the shadows coiled tighter. A figure loomed, darker than the night itself, its eyes glowing like hollow embers. "You're not meant to find her. You are ours." With a surge of desperation, Jenna turned, sprinting toward the flickering light. Panic surged through her like adrenaline, every muscle in her body urging her to flee. Shadows lashed out, clawing at her jeans, dragging her back toward the encroaching darkness, and then it happened, the moment where everything shifted. As she neared the light, she felt a pulse of warmth, an explosion of color that filled her vision. The shadows shrieked, retreating at the sudden brightness. "No!" they cried, voices discordant and furious. With a final push, she launched herself into the light. It enveloped her, filling her with warmth and strength she didn't know she had. For a brief second, she felt triumphant, like the dawn breaking through a long night, but then everything changed. The brightness twisted, warping into an intense glow that began to scorch. The light wasn't salvation, it was a fierce deception, a trick as sinister as the shadows themselves. As Jenna struggled, her vision blurred, the shimmer fading into an unbearable brightness. In that overwhelming glare, she saw flickering faces, old friends, lost ones, twisted into expressions of despair.
"Do you see now?" A voice boomed, resonant and deep, pulling her attention. "You cannot escape the truth."
Her world fractured, splintering into shards of reality and illusion.
A new terror washed over her. What if she wasn't meant to find Emma?
What if she was too late? And then, with a dramatic swell, the light imploded, shattering into a million fragments. Jenna fell again, spinning into another realm of shadows, the cries of lost souls echoing in her ears.
Each whisper wrapped
around her, and she felt the weight of their truth pressing down, heavy and merciless. The shadowy hands reached for her once more.
"Welcome back," they hissed with glee. Could she still save Emma, or had she sealed both their fates? The darkness pulsed like a heartbeat, waiting for her next move.
What lay ahead was a labyrinth of horrors, where hope flickered dimly against despair.
Was Jenna truly alone, or did the ghostly souls have more to reveal?
Cold air rushed past Jenna as she plummeted into darkness, her heart pounding wildly against her ribs. The specter's laughter echoed in her ears, an unholy symphony that grew louder with each passing moment.
She hit the ground again, this time landing on damp earth, littered with remnants of dying shadows. The swirling darkness dissolved slightly, revealing twisted paths that branched in every direction.
She was in a forest, a crooked, gnarled labyrinth of trees, their branches clawing at the heavens like desperate fingers. A dead silence fell, broken only by the crackle of unseen creatures lurking nearby.
"Emma!"
The name slipped from her lips, but the forest swallowed it whole. Jenna took a cautious step forward, the cold soil squelching under her weight. Her breath came out in shallow bursts, forming wisps of fog that faded into nothingness. The air felt thick, cloying, as if the shadows themselves were suffocating her. She pressed on, despite the sudden feeling of something trailing her, lurking just beyond the reach of her vision. Every instinct told her to run, and yet she was inexplicably drawn deeper into the woods. A low, melancholy wail pierced the silence, sending a jolt of icy dread coursing through her. "Help me!" the voice cried, echoing in a disembodied rush. The tone was familiar. Jenna felt her pulse quicken.
"Emma? Is that you?"
She felt a spark of hope ignite within her, even as the shadows twisted like snakes around her ankles. The forest responded to her call, trees creaked and swayed ominously. A flicker of light appeared in the distance, illuminating the path with an eerie glow. Jenna sprinted toward it, her heart racing with frantic anticipation. But the shadows writhed around her, whispering secrets, sowing doubt. "You shouldn't be here," they hissed.
"You'll become like us."
Ignoring their taunts, she pushed forward until she stumbled into a clearing. The crystal light danced before her, illuminating a small stone altar. Blood-stained engravings marred its surface, marking it as a site of dark rituals long forgotten. A warmth filled the air, yet it mingled with a faint odor of decay.
The air shimmered, swirling apprehensively, and then Jenna saw her Emma.
Bound in chains of darkness, her eyes wide with fear, like a wild animal caught in a trap.
"Jenna!"
she screamed, a raw mix of terror and longing.
"Hold on. I'm coming."
Jenna shouted, but as she took a step forward, the ground trembled. The shadowy figures reformed around her, grotesque faces hovering into view, hungering for her spirit.
"Not her!"
they cried, voices a twisted cacophony.
"She is ours. Get away from her."
Desperation fueled her as she ran toward the altar. But it felt like wading through molasses, the shadows pulling her down. The distance never closed.
"No!" Emma's voice broke through the chaos, a sound more heartbreaking than she anticipated. "You can't save me." A profound truth unfurled in Jenna's mind. Was she bound to this darkness too? Would seeking to rescue Emma only doom them both?
In that moment of turmoil, a thought sparked. If the light was deception, maybe the shadows can be used against themselves. With renewed resolve, she shouted back, "You think you own this place?
I won't let you take her.
The shadows recoiled, howling in anguish.
It was then that the flicker of blue light from before appeared again, pulsing like a heartbeat. Jenna turned toward it.
It now burned brighter, cutting through the veil of despair.
I refuse to be part of this.
She yelled, adrenaline surging through her veins.
Emma! Hold on!
As she moved closer to the light, Jenna felt the shadows collapse inward, desperate to reclaim what they had lost. They grasped at her, their cold fingers scraping her skin. The altar began to shudder violently, shaking as though the very ground wished to expel its dark inhabitants.
Help me!
Emma's voice faded into shrieks. Jenna reached for the blue light, feeling a fierce determination course through her. But just as her fingers grazed it, she caught a glimpse of a dark figure rising behind Emma, its features veiled in an
impenetrable gloom.
"You are far from ready, child," it echoed, low and foreboding. Jenna froze. The light flickered, dimming as the figure loomed closer.
What awaited her in that abyss of shadows? Would the light provide salvation, or would it lead to a fate worse than death?
As the figure continued to rise, a chilling laugh filled the air, a sound that resonated deep within Jenna's bones.
What would she sacrifice to save Emma? As the darkness danced around her, tightening its grip, she knew she had to decide and fast.
Jenna's heart hammered as the shadows surged closer, their whispering voices melding into a chaotic murmur. "Not you, Jenna, you should have stayed away," they twisted around her, coiling like serpents hungry for her soul.
"Get back!"
she screamed, swinging her arms to fend them off. But they were relentless, a dark tide clawing at her sanity, drawing her further into a cold abyss. She glanced back at Emma, whose eyes now shone with a desperate clarity.
"Jenna, don't listen to them. You have to find the light,"
Emma cried, her tone cutting through the confusion. In that moment, Jenna felt the stranglehold of the shadows loosen just enough for her to breathe. Taking a deep, shuddering breath, Jenna steeled herself.
"I'm coming, Emma. Just hold on."
Fueled by a fierce sense of love and determination, she focused on the blue light beyond the altar. It pulsed, a siren whispering promises of salvation that lured her forward, even as the darkness howled in agony. With each step, Jenna felt a weight lift, as if defying the shadows' commands. She pushed against the tide, her vision narrowing until only the light remained. It shimmered, beckoning her with a warmth that chased away the cold clench of despair.
Suddenly, chains like iron tendrils shot from the ground, seeking to drag her down.
Jenna stumbled, panic surging again as they snatched at her ankles.
"No!"
she yelled, kicking out wildly.
The chains recoiled slightly but held firm. "Focus, Jenna!"
Emma shouted, her voice an anchor against the rising storm of darkness.
"You're stronger than this."
Jenna closed her eyes, feeling her heartbeat thunder in her ears. She recalled happy memories running through sunlit fields, laughter with Emma, the feeling of being safe. The light pulsed once more, resonating with something deep within her, a flicker of hope among shadows. Opening her eyes, she squinted at the altar.
"I am here."
The words pierced the noise, and a strange calm washed over her.
"You can't take what isn't yours."
The shadows recoiled, their whispers turning into pained shrieks, echoing in harmony with the grinding of the earth. It felt as if the entire forest trembled at her declaration. She knelt, reaching for the blue light, desperate to harness its power.
"Jenna!" Emma's scream echoed, layered with both fear and urgency.
The malevolent figure loomed larger behind her, a dark silhouette of relentless dread. With her fingers wrapping around the pulsating glow, Jenna felt a surge of energy course through her.
"I command you!"
she roared, the words leaving her lips as a powerful incantation. The shadow screamed, a symphony of terror resonating through the trees as Jenna pulled the light toward her.
A blinding flash erupted, filling the clearing with fierce radiance that pushed against the inky darkness.
For a heartbeat, the world fell silent. The shadows hesitated, their grip on her loosening. But then, the dark figure shifted, its features still shrouded in gloom, and it spoke with a voice like grinding stone.
"You think you can defy us?
You will regret this." With a burst of will, Jenna hurled the blue light forward. It struck the altar, enveloping it in a shield of intense brilliance. The shadows recoiled, screeching, their form distorting as if trying to escape. But suddenly, the light flickered. A chaotic wave pulsed out, crashing into all corners of the clearing. Jenna stumbled back, heart racing. As the brightness intensified, she caught a glimpse of something in the haze, an unsettling whisper of truth hidden among shifting forms. A new fear gripped her. Was the light truly a savior, or was it just refocusing the horrors? The shadows shrieked, scrambling in an erratic dance as they were drawn toward the altar's glow, battling against the tide of light. It was then Jenna realized, the darkness was feeding on fear, transforming it into a weapon. As she fought to keep the light steady, a revelation flashed in her mind. You need to let go of your fear, Jenna. She reminded herself, breathing deeply. But the shadows began to weave new images, twisted memories of her and Emma, lost times. Where darkness lingered too long. Emma! Fight! She yelled, her voice breaking through the maelstrom. But Emma's expression was inscrutable, the shadows now twisting the love that once shone in her eyes into something sinister. Join me, the dark figure hissed, its voice a haunting melody. You cannot escape its embrace. As Jenna's resolve waned, terror threaded its way back into her heart. Could she withstand the dark suggestions, the weight of inevitability? In that charged moment, Jenna felt the ground tremble, and the altar began to crack, as if everything at stake was splintering apart. Emma, no. Please, I won't leave you. But shadows danced around Emma's figure, each step she took toward the flaring light erasing pieces of her essence. Jenna felt helplessness claw at her throat. As the forest trembled and reality fragmented before her, Jenna faced the unthinkable. Would she save Emma only to lose herself to the darkness? And then, the light faltered again, a sign that the forces of darkness were rallying. Could the past be rewritten, or would she be forced to live within the shadows forever? As the altar vibrated with menace, Jenna's thoughts raced. What price would she pay for freedom? And how far would she go to save the one she loved? Jenna's breath came in ragged gasps, her mind racing with the choices looming over her as the chaos twisted around them. Each heartbeat echoed the tension in the air, like the drumbeats of an impending battle. The altar pulsed beneath her fingertips, flickering like a faulty neon sign, and flickers of doubt darted through her thoughts. Emma, she murmured. But the name felt heavy in her mouth, tangled among the shadows that threatened to consume them. At that moment, the ground shook violently, as if the forest was alive, quaking in response to the dark entity's power. The dark figure loomed closer, its presence oppressive, suffocating, filling the space with an aura that twisted the very air. You think your love will save her? It hissed, a ghastly mix of mockery and malice. Love is weakness, child. Jenna fought against the urge to give in to despair. Emma needed her, they needed each other. But the shadows tightened their grip, their whispers slipping into her mind like oil creeping over water. You'll never be free, they coaxed, spinning dark truths about every past failure, every flicker of insecurity. Stop it! Jenna screamed, trying to cover her ears and shut out the voices. I will not be afraid. Suddenly, she felt a warmth burst from her hand, radiating from the blue light she clutched. It poured through her, igniting her spirit with pure energy. In that moment of clarity, she realized it wasn't just the light she had to hold, it was the belief behind it. Emma, don't listen. She called out fiercely, her voice breaking through the shadows' enchantment. You are stronger than they are. Fight for us. Emma's face flickered again, the serene clarity replaced by flickering shadows. Jenna, she whispered, each syllable like a breaking twig. I don't know if I can. The dark figure laughed, the sound chilling as it echoed around them. Your friend is lost. Embrace the darkness instead. It is where power lies. No! Jenna roared, feeling her heartbeat synchronize with the pulsing blue light. With each throb, she channeled her overwhelming love not just for Emma, but for herself, for the connection they shared, the memories woven like threads binding their fates. Together! She breathed, rallying every last ounce of strength. After a heartbeat of silence, Jenna shouted, "Join me!" Suddenly, the chains around her legs fell away, the shadows recoiling as if struck by an unseen force. Jenna felt lightness in her form. She pushed forward into the fray, surging with energy as she extended her other hand toward Emma. The shadows screamed, flailing as their grip weakened, the dark figure's laughter turning to rage.
You will pay for this. It lunged, dark tendrils aiming directly for Jenna's heart, but she wasn't cowering anymore.
With a burning resolve, she pulled Emma's spirit toward the altar alongside her, the light encapsulating them both, creating a barrier against the cold breath of despair creeping in.
Together.
As the radiant aura expanded, Jenna could see all the memories they shared flickering vividly in the light, carefree days, shared secrets, laughter that once danced in their hearts.
The tide of shadows faltered, swirling erratically, losing their hold as Emma's essence surged with life and clarity. Fight with me. Jenna urged again, fueled by pure hope. We are stronger than this.
But just as the edges of the shadows began to crumble, a deep, rumbling sound broke through, shaking the foundations of their fight. The altar trembled violently, and cracks like creeping veins spread across its surface, threatening to splinter their source of salvation.
Do you see?
Bound to the darkness just like everyone else, the figure boomed, its voice drowning all sounds around them. Jenna's heart descended into a pit of despair.
Would they be swallowed whole?
The shadows danced in a cacophony of despair and malice, the altar trembling as if it held the weight of their souls. In a desperate moment, Jenna felt the ground shift beneath her. And with it, a painful realization struck: the light could go out.
If they did not unite fully, the shadows would reclaim them, for good.
Let me in, Emma, she cried, her heart pounding.
Let me save you.
As the altar vibrated with fury, Jenna prepared to face whatever came next, ready to merge their spirits in the light. But just as she steeled herself for the ultimate sacrifice, a bone-chilling question slithered into her mind: could the bond she fought so hard to uphold also be the very thing that destroyed them both? As the altar shattered in a kaleidoscope of light and darkness, Jenna realized she was standing on the brink of oblivion, the choice weighing heavier than ever. Would they escape the shadows, or be lost forever in the spiral of despair? In that critical moment, the darkness lunged for her again, its teeth sharp and hungry. As the shadows reached for her, Jenna felt the tug of despair pulling her under, but a spark of defiance swelled within.
She wasn't going down without a fight.
I choose love over fear, she yelled, her voice booming with newfound strength. The air crackled, vibrating with intensity as her declaration filled the clearing. The shadows shrieked, recoiling against her assertion. With every word, Jenna felt the blue light pulse stronger in her grasp.
Emma, trust me. We are more than this darkness. We can fight it together.
Jenna pulled Emma toward her, wrapping her other arm around the light as it enveloped them both. The atmosphere shifted, and the shadows twisted in fury, their ghastly forms gnashing teeth and wailing in rage loud and piercing.
You cannot win. You are alone, shouted the dark figure, but its sneer faltered as it slid closer, the light threatening to consume it. Alone? Not anymore. Jenna propelled herself forward, strength flowing from the bond she shared with Emma. Together, we can break the chains. Emboldened, Jenna focused on the warmth radiating from the blue light.
Each heartbeat resonated with love, the very essence of their shared memories, a balm for the anguish, the laughter, the secrets, all bound them tighter than any chains. The shadows hesitated again, as if sensing their unity's power. Suddenly, Jenna urged Emma forward, matching their steps in unison. Feel the light, Emma. We are here. As if guided by an unseen force, they surged forward together. The dark figure lurched, its features twisting in anguish. You think you can defy me? It thundered. I will crush your spirits. Not this time. Jenna channeled all the positive energy she could muster, summoning every ounce of hope. No. We won't be torn apart. In a blinding flash, the blue light erupted, illuminating the forest and forcing the shadows to shrink back, shrieking and twisting in the sunlight's raw intensity. The altar shuddered, then exploded in a burst of blinding radiance, casting shadows against the bleak canopy. All at once, the air was filled with a cacophony of voices. The trapped souls of the lost students and long-forgotten spirits rose into an empowering chorus. Thank you. Find the truth. They cried as a wave of light washed over them, sending tendrils of hope into the depths of despair. Jenna could feel the darkness receding, collapsing into whispers as she and Emma pierced through the veil. The shadows began to tremble, their grip loosening, resolute terror dissolving in the face of love forged from bonds unbreakable. Let us go. Don't let go. Jenna implored, their hands clasping, drawing on each other's strength as they broke through the last barrier. Then, as if breaking the surface of the water, they hurtled forward into a new realm of vast expanse filled with radiant light. The forest, the darkness, it all faded, replaced by a blissful peace. And there they stood, bathed in the glow of freedom. Jenna gasped, her heart swelling with relief. Emma smiled, tears streaming down her face, but they were joyful, filled with the weight of release.
"We did it, Jenna!"
she exclaimed, laughter bubbling from her lips. They had faced the dark together and claimed their light.
Yet in the distance lingered the hollow echo of the dark figure, its voice dulled but still resonant.
You cannot escape forever, but in that moment, Jenna felt something shift within her. She was strong, fortified by love and the countless memories that formed a shield against the darkness. Every moment of laughter, every tear shed had led them right here.
And it was enough. Hand in hand, they stepped forward into the unknown, hearts committed to facing whatever lay ahead.
They would uncover the truth of what had plagued Willow Creek. No longer would secrets dictate their community, they would ensure those lost could find peace, and as the light enveloped them completely, hope surged forward, lighting the path ahead, and reminding them both, freedom was not the absence of darkness, but the presence of their unbreakable bond. As Jenna took that first step into the future, she knew with all her heart that this was the beginning of a new chapter. And together, they would write the story anew. Remember, if you want to join us for more spine-chilling tales, you need to subscribe now.
Don't miss out on exclusive stories like this. Smash the like button so you can help feed the algorithm.
If you felt the emotions here, let it be known, flood the comments with your reactions and theories about what you've just witnessed, and don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this conclusion. Let us spread the light and make sure everyone knows the power of love over darkness.